wielded his flag and said, "They are the companions of natural law and must surrender. They have said babies must live to die when worn out by old age, and they will make their words good, and we have no ammunition by which to meet them." And I awoke and saw the diplomats of osteopathy coming home with the scalps of fits, measles, whooping cough, and many hundreds of other scalps from all parts of the globe, as trophies to the ammunition and generalship of those who are satisfied to trust the divine weapons at all times and in all engagements between sickness and health. The lectures and essays of which this is the introduction were framed many thousand years ago. I found a leaf 40 years ago in Kansas and tried to read it, but could not. The handwriting was very plain and the language good, but I was suffering with the mumps of ignorance. Fever was very high and throat badly swelled on both sides. I could not swallow even a morsel from the great table that sat at the center of the University of Deity, covered all over with fruits, each one equal to the finest gem. I could not enjoy them, for I was unable to swallow a solution of the greatest dilution. I was not trained to reason beyond the ropes of stale custom, the greatest hindrance of all ages, but our nation made a move to cut the chains from its slave, which a greater range to thought and speech. Previous to that, it was not a man's privilege to write and speak his opinion upon all subjects as it has been since our war closed. 30 years of liberty have shown its benefits to the whole world. All professions have advanced more or less. Our schools have unfurled their flag at the head of the column of progress. Our theologians are broader and more tolerant. Inventive genius has revolutionized our industrial and commercial systems. Our navigation of the seas and land by steam and electricity are far beyond the dream of a Clay, Morse, Fulton, Howe, or even Lincoln, when he laid down the pen that wrote the words, "Forever free, without regard to race or color." Since the hour freedom was proclaimed, man has moved at the rate of the swiftest comets, and all nature seems more in harmony with his advancement in comfort. A treatise generally aims to teach the reader the rules by which an experienced operator can obtain certain results in the skillful application of a scientific principle. Osteopathy cannot be imparted by books. Neither can it be taught to a person intelligently who does not fully understand anatomy from books and dissection. One who does not know this preparatory branch is completely lost in our operating rooms. He does not act from reason because he does not know enough of anatomy to reason from. Therefore, a treatise attempting to tell people how to treat diseases by our methods would be worse than useless to every person who has not been carefully drilled in our clinics. It is the philosophy of osteopathy that the operator needs. Therefore, it is indispensable that you all know, or you will fail badly and get no further than the quackery of hit and miss. We have a college for teaching and training in all branches of osteopathy. The science of osteopathy as it stands before the world today is 21 years old. These lectures will have much to say of its eventful life and journey to the place it now stands, defiant, offensive, and defensive, for osteopathy has had to take both positions. It could not come to the place, do it, and offend no one. Old and established theories and professions claim the right to say who shall live or die, and have claimed this prerogative so long that they feel offended at the birth of any new child of progress that comes upon the stage to ask a hearing without their permission. Then to defend would be inseparable from the growth of science, as merit is above all tribunals except God himself. In a woman bound by any law to never get a new dress for fear of offending the old, if the dress had to wade through blood, I would say, have it come and let the old one growl. I say, let the new one come, and if the old one has no merit above the new one, just let it be quiet. It is not always that the old chickens are best to eat. Suppose Miss Gatling had gone to General Washington and asked his permission to go to the front with his batteries, and had received for an answer no. Then supposing Mr. Gatling had turned loose upon the general and his musty council and wiped the earth with them, saying, if brain has no right to be respected, what do you think of bullets by the swarm? We are not enrolled under the banner of a theologian. We are traveling over the plains and mountains as an explorer, and will report only the truth, and never that until we find the facts standing right behind the truth as its endorser. As an explorer, we are now ready to report the midst of richest bottomland which is capable of the highest cultivation now stands open, while vast extended plains lie spread out before us, without even the tent of the squatter sovereign to be seen. This vast country has not yet been surveyed. No cornerstones are set, the range lines have not been run, and there is no land office opened. But upon this boundless plain we raise and throw to the breezes the banner of osteopathy. In close range and directly in view of the most ordinary field grass stands the mountain of reason, from which is rolling down in our presence the greatest nuggets of gold that the human mind has ever saw coming down, as from the very bosom of God himself. All this fertility, we believe, is intended for the human race and benefit of man. With the power and of production found in this soil, with the beauteous scenery and the mountain heights, in every stone you will find the exactness with which the divine mind constructs. I see nations climbing up and falling, and rising up and climbing again, to attain that height which would enable them to have a glimpse or an intimate acquaintance with that superstructure that stands upon the highest pinnacle, which has been explored to a limited extent only. That superstructure is the masterwork of God himself, and its name is man. 10,000 rooms of this temple have never been explored by any human intelligence, neither can it be without a perfect knowledge of anatomy and an acquaintance with the machinery of life. Under this banner we have enlisted. Under it we expect to march and go into a fight that will cover more territory than was covered by Alexander, Napoleon, Grant, Lee, and Blucher, and to conquer by facts a greater enemy than has been heretofore conquered by the world's greatest generals, waging a contest of greater moment to the human race than any effort ever put forth for the establishment of a political, religious, or scientific principle. Not like children do we expect to pay attention to the howitzers of vulgarity that are loaded to the very muzzle with the nightmare of habit. Legalized ignorance and stupidity. We will heed not the belching forth of many guns trained on our flag, unless they are the best of steel rifles, gatlings, mortars, ironclads, or torpedoes, all loaded or charged with the dynamite of uncompromising truth. We have no eternity to spend in the useless effort of trying to bring men to the fountain of reason, and force them to drink that which is absolutely unpalatable to them. While a man is bound with his habits and is satisfied with fishing forever without getting a nibble of truth, he can, like Bunyan, bring the four corners of his old sheet together, take up his load, and toddle along. We will not debate with him if he is satisfied. He is not the man we are looking for. A word to the soldiers. This war has been raging hot and heavy for 22 years, and not a single soldier, from privates to generals, has received a wound from the enemy that has drawn one drop of blood or sent a rigor of fear up or down the back or legs. Their ammunition and greatest guns were fired in our midst, have never moved a muscle nor made a window. We laugh by note, which is our music, and we desire Congress to give us the full benefits of free trade, as we have more scalps for sale than any one market is able to produce. Our Secretary of War has reported to us that every soldier's wife and the soldier himself has more to eat and drink than ever before, even in the physical world, saying nothing of the fountain of love and intelligence that keeps his canteen forever running over. In our great army of recruits, we want no man or woman whose mind is so small and mental vision so dim that he or she cannot see victory perched on our banner. Peace and goodwill now and forever.